the Allagash. One of those, I'm sure. Abductions. Have you guys ever heard this story?
Allagash Abductions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, abductions.
I have not.
Nice. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to say the name of the brothers, and you're going to say, never mind, I have.
Probably.
So, August
I don't know him.
1976.
Okay.
4 young men set off on a 2-week camping and hiking trip through the wilderness of New England.
Wait a minute. I think I know.
Jim and Jack Wiener. That's their names.
Winner.
No, it's Wiener.
It's got an E in there?
Yeah.
It's 2 E's?
It's WEI.
I believe I know what you're talking about.
I told you I'd say the brothers' names, and you'd be like, I know this.
No. The one I'm thinking of was a coworker. Him and a coworker.
Well, there's 4 of them, so.
No, there's only 2 of them.
So it's 4 guys. Jim and Jack Wiener, twin brothers, both art students at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston. And then you have Chuck Rack, another art student and friend, and Charlie Foltz, a Navy veteran who was acting as the group's guide.
These guys?
I have no idea. I've never met them. But probably.
Who stole the bottom of that guy's pants?
Probably Chuck.
The guy with full pants?
So these are all people, they're artists, and they've all done stuff where you know, look into details. Like, they're all detail oriented. Even Charlie, they're all detail oriented and remember things.
Even Charlie.
Yeah, yes, because he was a Navy veteran. He was not one of the art school kids. They all go camping. So it starts off normal. The first thing they decide to do is to climb the tallest mountain in the area, Mount Katahdin, one of those.
It's pronounced cacao.
No, it's not. There's an H in there.
Cacao.
Why?
And they never make it to the top
Of course, hiking is hard.
because they're weak art babies. They're not. they're not built
Sorry
for
to
this.
anybody who has an art degree.
That guy.
I have an art degree, so I'm allowed to say that.
That guy all the way to the right
But you're not
looks
weak.
like a skinny version of me.
I could not climb the top of that mountain, so
No, you hike it.
I could not hike to the top of that mountain or any other mountain for that matter.
That's why you become a billionaire and you get yourself.
Fly
I
it.
make data centers?
Yes.
No, thank
You
you.
level it down and put a giant data center.
I couldn't climb you, but I could tear you down.
Dinkelberg.
I mean, that's why the Bible says, talk to the mountain. Go
And-
away.
Talk to the mountain, tear it down, build a data center. That's the verse, right?
Yep. Hezekiah 4:8.
Anyway,
So they climbed. They didn't make it to the top, but they were satisfied for what they did, and so from there they take a charter flight that they describe as a teeny rickety little bush plane to Shin Pond in northern Maine's Mount Chase region.
That's a made up name for a pond.
It's very remote, very far out there, 100 miles of wilderness. And they plan to spend several days navigating the Allagash Wilderness Waterway by canoe.
Canoe.
So that was their first day. Second day, pretty normal day. It's the evening. They're making camp at an area known as Mudbrook. And as they're setting up for the night, so they see something in the distance. So Jim, one of the twin brothers, grabs some binoculars to get a better look. They thought it was just a very bright star. But through the binoculars, he realized it was hovering just a few miles away, a couple 100 feet above the distant treetops, and emitting what he describes as a strange quality of light. So all four of them take turns looking through the binoculars at the object and see it. And suddenly, while one of them is looking at it, it just kind of blinks out of existence.
Plasmoid.
It doesn't fly off in any direction or anything. It's just kind of like collapses on itself. It's gone.
Plasboys.
There were other campers at the beach that night who also saw the same thing. So these are not the only four guys who saw it. There are other people other campers, because this area is a good camping place, that also reported seeing this. 2 days later, they've kind of forgotten about it, don't really care, whatever. Just saw a weird light. They've reached Eagle Lake and set camp at a relatively hard-to-access campsite called Smithbrook. Before heading out to fish for the night, they built a large campfire that would be large enough to burn for several hours, at least 4, but probably like 6 to 8 hours, because it was getting late at night, and it was so that they could see where the thing was, so they know how to get back to where their campsite was, in case they kind of got, because they were going out on the river canoeing.
Okay.
And it's like 10 o'clock at night, so in case they get turned around or whatever, they can just look for the campfire, know where to go. So the intent was for it to burn. And then they get in the canoes and go out on to the lake. Chuck notices something is off. And so while he's sitting in the canoe, he gets a specific and uncomfortable feeling that someone is staring at him from behind. He turns around, and when he does, there is a massive object at least 80 feet across, hovering a couple 100 feet above the nearby cove. It's emitting a multicolored pulsing light that shifts from white to red to green, and what Chuck describes as a liquid melting motion. It looked like a very bright globe of light, like a miniature sun. It lit the treetops up like daylight and was completely silent. All four of them saw the object, and none of them spoke. They just stared at it. Then Charlie grabbed his flashlight and began signaling at it SOS in Morse code.
Beep, 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 beep.
The response was the object flew directly at them at what they called an impossible speed and came to a sharp, sudden stop about 50 feet in front of their canoes.
Huh.
From there, it deployed a secondary beam of light, described as being far brighter than any spotlight they'd ever seen, pointed directly at them. And so they all began panicking, and without thinking or speaking to one another, they grabbed their oars and started paddling as hard as they could.
Panhandling. Yes.
They started panhandling. They started paddling as hard as they could. But they weren't coordinated at all, because they were just panicking. So they weren't actually rowing in a way that would move them anywhere. So they were just going in circles because they were just freaking out, doing nothing.
I imagine a SpongeBob scream is in the midst of all this.
Yeah, just by high pitched.
Yeah.
And then within a matter of seconds, the object is right above them, and they were completely enveloped in a warm light. The next thing any of them can recall is being back on shore, staring up at the object, which was now hovering less than 100 feet from them, making a slow bobbing motion. One of them picked up the flashlight again and signaled at it a second time, which I don't know why you would do that.
Oh, yeah, because that's what you need to do.
The first time went so well. Let's try it again. This time, the object drifted away, appeared to implode slightly, and then reappeared higher up, and then in an instant streaked away at tremendous speed. Within seconds, it was indistinguishable from a star in the sky. So the men wandered back. They got their bearings of where they were. They went back to the campsite. None of them talking as they go. They're all physically exhausted. And it was a struggle to even speak.
Yeah, I was going to say a mental strain for sure.
When they reached the campsite, the fire had completely burned out.
So missing time. That's common.
They felt like they'd been out on the lake for 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. But this fire that should have lasted 4 to 8 hours, clearly they were at least 4 hours out.
Yeah.
But they were all really tired, really like all aching and just not feeling great. And so they just were like, forget it. And they all just went to their tents and fell asleep.
Bet.
The next day, they were hiking through the woods, and the 4 men came across a park ranger and described what happened the night before. And the ranger waved it off immediately because there was a town nearby called Millinocket, or however you say this. Again, I don't know how to say these names. And that town had been celebrating the grand opening of a new hardware store, complete with searchlights and spotlights, in the sky.
You know it's a big town when you're celebrating hardware.
And
Ace Hardware.
the ranger said that's all they saw. They just saw the lights from that celebration.
Makes sense.
But this place was 75 miles away.
Oh, of course.
So they're
Light
like,
pollution.
like there's no way that they shined their spotlights on us 75 miles away.
Whatever.
So like no, but the ranger said that was what it was. That
I was expecting him to say 5 miles.
75 miles.
Stupid. 75 miles. You think about that. You think about how long. That's like almost dependent on the roads. That's almost a 2-hour drive.
It was you just saw that.
Let's call it an hour and a half drive. That's stupid.
After failing to convince the ranger, they just stopped trying. They just spent the rest of their camping trip kind of mostly less talkative, but just whatever, got through the trip and then went home on their separate ways and never brought it up again.
I would have just left. I wouldn't even stayed.
Would you have gone to sleep that night, or would you packed up and left that night?
Depends on how tired I am.
If you might have been so exhausted, you just like, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah, because I've been in the state of a lot of adrenaline, and I'm still wide awake and happy, and I get in the truck, and 30 minutes later I'm fighting to stay asleep, and sure enough I fall asleep several times, and so I have to pull over and take a nap 45 minutes and then drive and still fight sleep. So I've learned my lesson from that. So I'd probably fall asleep.
Yeah, probably.
And there's safety in numbers too. Like the human psyche, you feel safer when there's at least another person, and
True.
The more people that's there, the safer you feel.
So 12 years go by. They never talk about it. They never bring it up. Then Jack Wiener, one of the two twins, started having dreams. First, they were vague, fragmented images, but slowly became more vivid, more detailed, and increasingly felt less like dreams and more like memories. He would wake up in cold sweats, hyperventilating. And the only person he told this to was his wife, Mary, and only because he had to explain to her why he kept waking up every night. In the dreams, Jack was paralyzed. He could see his 3 friends nearby, sitting naked on a bench, and standing around them were beings that Jack described as looking like large insects. Long, thin necks, huge heads, oversized eyes that took up most of the top portion of their faces, and he couldn't move. He can only watch as these things poked and prodded at him and his friends. By 1988, which, again, this is 12 years later, Jack tells his twin brother, Jim, about the dreams. Before he could even finish telling him everything, Jim said he's been having the exact same nightmares with the same details. So then they reached out to the other guys, Chuck and Charlie, and both of them also started recently having terrible dreams that were just like this. During this time, despite not talking about it, Jim had been researching UFO sightings and abduction accounts. And a name he found was Raymond E. Fowler. Fowler was a serious researcher into UFO. And he had served in the U.S. Air Force from 1952 and picked up an obsession with UFOs during that time that kind of dictated the rest of his life. After he was discharged, he joined the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena and rose through the ranks, eventually becoming a prominent member of the Mutual UFO Network.
How convenient.
By the late 70s, he was on shows such as Today Show, Good Morning America, The Dick Cavett Show, The Mike Douglas Show, Unsolved Mysteries, and other radio programs. So probably through seeing these things, Jim hears about him. So Jim attends a UFO convention where he was a guest speaker and introduced himself and told Fowler their story. Fowler was intrigued and suggested they stay in touch. And then he recommended hypnotic regression. Do you guys know what hypnotic regression is?
Yes.
Do you know what hypnotic regression is, Andy?
Yes.
Explain it.
Hypnotic.
Where you get
Hypnotic. Go ahead. You haven't talked in a
They
long
grab you
time.
by your hips, and they suppress memories using hypnosis.
Suppress?
Yes.
Correction.
No thanks.
They don't grab the hips.
It's not about the kick. It's about the scream.
It's not about the kick. It's about the scream.
You grab their hips.
They use hypnosis to bring memories out that you subconsciously forgot or forgot under trauma. That's what that means.
Digression?
No, regression.
Oh, I heard you wrong then.
Hypnotic regression. So it's where they
In that case, I still don't agree with you.
it's where they use hypnosis to pull out memories that have been suppressed. Not to suppress them.
I have a suppressor.
The problem with it is there's no licensing. There's no real backing to it. Some people don't even believe it works.
So it could be fake.
It could be fake. And even if it's not entirely fake, the person doing the hypnosis can intentionally or unintentionally, through their guiding process, kind of manipulate the memory. And even if there is something there, they can manipulate it to where you remember it wrong. On purpose or not on purpose.
Well.
So it's a what's the word? Hypno. Whatever. Continue.
Hippopotamus.
So I'm just I have no context for this. I'm just gonna say it because it's in my notes. The satanic panic of the 1980s is one of the most striking examples of what recovered memory therapy gone wrong can produce.
Which is where they're seeing Satan and everything and pop music and stuff and rock and roll and all that. Reversing the records and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Just the satanic panic is because of... I had no idea the satanic panic was because of recovered memories.
Oh.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But
Apparently, I've never been on live television before.
the man who helped them with the hypnotic regression was Tony Constantino. He
Nice.
did this for all 4 of them, which could be a problem because if he's heard the story once from somebody else, he could
Yeah.
accidentally or intentionally.
I want it independent.
But so take some of it. It's like they all 4 said the same thing, but it is possible
Yeah.
it's because they all.
Real quick, if you guys could be hypnotized, would you?
Depends. Depends.
I don't think I would.
I don't know.
Why?
Like, because it's kind of giving control of yourself away. If it does what people say it's supposed to do. So would you?
See,
I'll bring in a hypnotherapist to one of these one day.
it's weird. There's a lot of stuff where like I know I shouldn't, and it's probably bad, or like there's spiritual stuff there. But I'm also just like I just want to know what it feels like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I feel with hypnotism is like, do I really want to? No, but also what does it feel like?
Is it like going to sleep and then you're back?
Because, okay, I'm not going to go into the details because of time and because it whatever, but I am pretty sure I have suppressed memories because of trauma. And my sister was involved, and she also, both of us at the exact same time, we're like, here's the train of the events that happened, and then at this moment, I don't know what happened, and the next thing I know, I'm here, and there's a gap. Neither of us can tell you what happened, and I'm just like, I want to know what happened. I don't know why I want to know because I don't actually need to know, but
It's the problem of unknowing.
Curiosity.
yeah, it was when I don't know if you guys know the story. I said I wasn't gonna say that because of time, but I don't know if most likely Andrew at the very least has heard it because me and Jessica talk about it from time to time. When we were held hostage at gunpoint with our no longer step aunt.
Yeah.
When I was like 7 and she was 10, maybe even younger. She might have been like 8 and I was like 5.
Adrenaline does some crazy stuff too.
Have you heard that story?
No.
Jessica's mentioned that in the past, but very vaguely.
So
I can say Jessica, right?
yeah, she's been on the podcast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So my uncle,
Well, you can just edit this out if you don't.
Pineapple.
I don't really care that much.
He just wants to know.
My uncle was divorcing, or either was divorcing, or forgive me for not knowing the full details. I was 5-ish. Either he just divorced or was in the process of divorcing his second wife, and they were moving. Both of them were moving to Mississippi. They were in Tennessee. They were both moving to Mississippi, and my mom had to work, so it was my dad who somehow got forced into helping them move stuff. And so basically my uncle, I don't even know if my uncle was staying in Mississippi because he was going to be riding back with us. But he was driving the U-Haul truck. She was driving her own car. My dad was driving his car with me and my sister. My uncle was going to be riding back with us. Well, what my dad didn't know was that my uncle keeps a gun on in his car, or did back then, at all times, and knew he was going to be riding with us. So he put his gun in our car under the driver's seat. My dad had no idea it was even there. And obviously me and my sister didn't know it was there. But his ex-wife did. She starts, while we're driving, she starts like almost hitting my dad and runs him off the road. I don't know why. Runs him off the road, so he pulls over. She gets out. He is still in the car. My uncle does something and runs off, and then we hear a gunshot, and my dad panics, and so he gets out. He gets out, locks the door, and runs to do something. I don't even know what he ran to do. So me and my sister are in the car, And a few minutes later, the ex-aunt, she comes to the car and says, unlock the car now. So we do. She grabs the gun, pulls me and my sister out of the car. And then I want to say she shot in the air. Maybe I'm making that up and remembering wrong. But she has the gun. She has it at the back of my head. And then she puts it at the back of my sister's head. And she yells some profanity and yells my uncle's name out and says, if you want to see these kids again, you better get yourself out here. And I think I'm crying. And I know Jessica's crying. And she tells us to shut up. And then around that time, both of us don't really know what happens. The next thing we know, we're in like a hotel room talking to cops.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty heavy for a kid. So there's definitely some missing time that your brain went into like a protect itself moment. So I'm going to suppress this.
So like I'm just like, I wonder what happened.
You drop kicked her.
How did I get us out of that situation? What did I do?
Because we know it was you.
How strong am I really?
You became a Funko Pop and popped away.
What? My Funko Pops have never popped.
So
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there.
well, I wasn't gonna say the story, but then I did.
Yeah, I know. I was in the middle. I was going to say, you said you weren't going to go into detail.
Yeah, but then I was surprised you hadn't heard it, and for some reason that just made me be like, "Oh, if you haven't heard this, I'm gonna share it."
Yeah.
Remember the time you were held up?
I genuinely thought you guys had both heard it, or at least you. So I was like, "There's no point in sharing it." But
Yeah, how did I hear whispers of this from Jessica and you haven't?
Hadn't heard it. Unless I did, and I suppressed the memory of it.
It's too traumatic for him.
it's too traumatic. True.
I don't know.
So Jim, Jack, Chuck, and Charlie all underwent the hypnosis sessions, and they were all done separately. So they didn't, have any connection to others other than it was the same guy doing it. And they were told don't discuss with each other. And they say they never talked about it to each other until after everything was done. So each of them described a broadly similar account. Under hypnosis, what had previously felt like 20 minutes on the lake was revised. So now that they're like, okay, they're remembering things that had happened, they were like, it was definitely at least 2 hours. And they all described themselves being taken aboard some kind of craft and finding themselves in a tube-like structure. It was dark, and they couldn't make out. It was dark, but they could make out particles catching light from somewhere, like dust on a sunny day. The rooms contained strange machines, none of them recognized, with long metal tables resembling medical examination or autopsy tables. They described the beings consistently as thin, spider-like or insect-like in build. Thin, fragile-looking necks, huge heads with oversized eyes taking up the majority of the top of their face, 4 fingers on each hand with small suction cups, and their mouths were lipless slits that protruded slightly, resembling a beak more than a mouth. They all appeared to be wearing some kind of suit. Chuck described
A suit as in a 3-piece suit or a jumper
Space
suit?
a onesie.
A onesie.
They're all in like a onesie pajama. Probably spacesuit.
Yeah, okay.
Chuck Rack, when trying to focus on the beings directly, said it was like trying to tune a fuzzy radio, and so he couldn't quite get a lock onto them visually. All 4 men were naked, held in a state of paralysis, but they weren't asleep. None of them were asleep. They were all conscious and aware of what was going on. And the communication from the beings came not as speech, but as commands delivered directly into their heads. Jack Wiener's recollection of what the beings projected into his mind is the following. They're right there. Their face is right in my face. I don't know why. I don't want to know what they want. They're saying things in my head. They're saying, don't be afraid. They say, just do what we say. Just do what we say. Jim Weiner
I say no.
described feeling a powerful and immediate desire to physically attack the beings and being completely unable to act. They don't know what to do. They think I'm going to come after them. I feel like I want to. The first one that comes near me, I'm going to throttle them. I don't like these things. I don't care where they come from. They shouldn't be doing this to people.
His fight or flight instinct kicked in.
What followed was a series of painful physical examinations. Skin scraped from their arms, chest, legs, and thighs. Samples taken from the most intimate parts of their bodies, blood, fluids, and other things. And all four men felt the beings were malevolent in intent. They were not friendly. At one point, Chuck, watching from across the room while being held in stasis, witnessed what appeared to be a machine being used on Charlie. Chuck described it as silvery curved and seeming to suction fluids from Charlie's body. Charlie, for his part, said that he had his head tipped all the way back and appeared to be in significant pain. I see some sort of device on him. It looks like it's got curves on it. It's almost like it sucks something. He's got his head tipped way back. It's almost like he's in pain, and we can't help him. All we can do is watch. At the end of the ordeal, Chuck recalled a vague sense of being pulled downward from a portal of light, and he was back in the canoe. And then their canoes drifted to shore on their own. And then from there is whenever
They
real
woke back
time
up.
they realized it. Well, yeah. When the researcher Raymond Fowler brought all four men together after the sessions were complete, it was the first time they were allowed to hear each other's accounts. Their similarities weren't just startling, but they were specific. Jim described the moment. We were amazed that Jack would say something about how he remembered the light, or Chuck would say something that he remembered, or Charlie would say something, and we'd just sit there. My God, that's exactly what we remembered. One person could pause to take a breath, and the next person could pick up and know exactly what they were going to say. Afterward, the four men, who were, again, trained artists, independently drew and painted illustrations of their experience and of the beings, and the results were consistent with each other. Even with all of this stuff, it could be faked. So they were subject to polygraph tests, and all four passed.
Which, if you know how to defeat them,
It's not that hard.
it's not that hard, from what I've heard. Now,
What if you were hypnotized to
the
defeat
question is, did they know how to?
Or-
Back then,
Or
Probably
if you believe what you're saying, even if it's not true, you're still passed. Because it's not like
true.
it's
I
not
mean,
like
look at these guys. Do they look like they can pass a polygraph test?
Do they look like they can climb a mountain?
They all look like their name's Polly.
Well,
Judge them by their look right now.
Bald, half bald, lots of hair, lots of hair.
The Jorts tell me he has no schooling.
They look.
He's the Navy guy.
They look like they're the Washington version of King of the Hill.
Maybe.
Washington State version.
They're the Trailer Park Boys.
That's what they look like. The Washington State version of King of the Hill. Oh, that's a great description.
In 1993,
Ooh.
Fowler published The Allagash Abductions, Undeniable Evidence of Alien Intervention, which became the primary reference point for every subsequent retelling of the case and what brought the story to a wide audience. The coverage on Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack had already helped the case gain traction, and the book cemented it into UFO lore. Later in the early 90s, some of the men began reporting further encounters they attributed to alien interaction, subsequent abductions, and additional experiences. Whether that extended the story credibility or stretched past its endpoint depends on kind of yourself. Some people look at it and say, yeah, this adds to it. And other people are like, you're just milking it.
Yeah, plus they could have they really could have all created the story.
Well,
These guys look like they created a story.
in 2016,
Oh, that far of a difference, huh?
Chuck Rack publicly denounced the entire account.
Ooh, busted.
Aha.
His own and his friends. According to Chuck, the whole thing was made up. He admitted the money was good at first, and that by the time it stopped being funny, it was giving him too much money, and so he just kept going with it. His explanation for how it started was that Jim, years after the Allagash trip, suffered a traumatic brain injury from a bad fall. According to Chuck, Jim never dreamed before the injury, but after, he suddenly began having vivid memories of an abduction from over a decade earlier.
No, it became real to him.
And everyone else just went along with it.
Mm.
Jim Weiner acknowledges that this happened, that he had the traumatic incident, but he does not acknowledge it as the cause of the memories. He maintains the memories are real. The other two men...
Well, sure, if the memories are real, if he had the brain injury, to him, it's real.
The other two men maintain the story is true.
Your reality is what you perceive.
Only Chuck is the one who has recanted. But even in his recantation, Chuck continued to insist that the first thing that happened, the light that other people saw too, did happen. It's just the abduction story that he said was a lie.
Makes sense, I guess.
So that's pretty much all I have.
Their stories are breaking down.
Do you guys think that?
I think it's too fake.
Do you think that they made it up, or that
Yeah.
that what Chuck said is the case? That this dude started having the memories from the that's why 12 years later it started happening, and then there's like, well, we're just gonna run with it. We're gonna make up something.
I mean, you know how guys are.
Nope.
Because you might be one, I think.
Ooh. Wow. He went there.
A group of guys, they just like to have fun, especially in their 40s, which is what they look like they're in right there.
Well, they would have been in their mid 30s when they started this planning.
That's how your mid-30s looked back in the 1960s and 70s.
Well, that was them right when they went on their camping trip. That's them being 21 years old in
21,
art
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And they tell us to grow up.
Hello,
In
fellow
high school,
kids.
they were ready to go. They were 40.
That's what that is. It's like, hello, fellow
Can't
kids.
you tell he's still wearing his kids' shorts?
That's
his
true.
childhood shorts.
Those were his shorts. That he graduated wearing those shorts.
At what point do you have pants and you're like, yeah, I'm going to cut these, make shorts out of them? Because I've not reached that point yet.
Jorts, man.
I don't like shorts.
Have you ever made
so-
jorts? I've never made jorts.
I remember being really, really tempted by doing it one time. I can't remember if I actually did it.
If I buy you a pair from Goodwill, will you make some jorts?
Man, you got to be the right person.